All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Earth's Mightiest Comics. This is a show where every episode we talk about the some new comics that have come out in the past around week or so, week and a half. We just we talk about what we think about them. We give our thoughts and all our numerous opinions on them and whether or not we have enjoyed them. We did take last week off from recording. We didn't kind of mean to, but Sebastian went out of town and I was not ready to record early, so we were not able to get it. Granted, I posted the episode we recorded 2 weeks ago, like a week late. So actually, for you guys, it probably felt like we took the week off prior and then not last one. But regardless, we are back and gonna be talking about some more stuff. I think it's a fairly light week, so you know it's not necessarily the most exciting comics week there is out there, but there is some stuff to talk about. More Ultimate stuff, for instance, like Ultimate Spider-Man, issues of G.O.D.S, Green Arrow, Hulk, Duke, The Flash, stuff like that. But what we're gonna start with is Daredevil number 7 here, written by I almost said Chip Zdarsky, not Chip Zdarsky, written by Saladin Ahmed, and the artist is Aaron Cooter. So picks up right after last issue where we had Wolverine in the bar with no name, and he's like, I'm gonna be doing some big murders, Daredevil. And then so this is mostly just a fight between those two.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot else that goes on here. I think there is some kind of teases towards stuff upcoming towards the end. Like we get kind of more kind of stuff like Matt's gonna go take down the Heat next issue, apparently. And at the very end, Elektra shows up, which it was very cool to see her. I'm glad to see her back. I think like since the Chip Zdarsky run where she kind of also became Daredevil, I think that character has just gotten much better. So I was happy to see her again because really she's been absent since I think issue 1. Really was the only other time she popped up in this series.
Issue 1. Yeah, because it was only issue 1, right? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. So she pops up at the very end. But other than that, it is mostly just the fight between Wolverine and Matt. And I will say, to this issue's credit, I think this is the best action sequence of the series so far.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, and it's also it's brutal. Like it's not quite. I don't think it's quite Invincible level gore fest.
Oh goodness, no! But
it's not that far off though. I don't think. I would say this is like the mid-tier Invincible gore level. Like when Invincible's not going all out, but it is still gory. This is like the kind of the mid-intensity Invincible level gore, I would say. Which I think it was surprising to me because like you don't see big 2 comics get this bloody. Hardly ever. It is very rare to see this level of blood on the page, to the point where it even just Matt at the start of this is in the white suit, which I decided this issue I just don't like.
You don't like it?
I thought I did. I liked it when it was drawn by Mark Giacchetto in the Zdarsky run, but I don't think it works here in this run. But this issue is so bloody that white suit just looks like the normal red suit at the end. It's just completely covered in blood. Yeah. So I thought from an artistic standpoint there that it was a cool choice to do it that way because it did kind of lend some impact to that whole sequence. But I don't think the suit was very good. Regardless though, again, that is kind of it. I think I did like it. I think it's good. I did kind of get to the point with this issue where I kind of was feeling a little bit of the repetitive nature of what this story has kind of become a little bit. Because right now we've kind of had the series kind of running on 2 fronts. One of them being the Heat, that gang and their whole goings on there. And then one of them being the 7 Deadly Sins being personified and just being in the world and Matt has to go and take them down. I think that's the more interesting storyline. You know, compared to the Heat, it's just like Daredevil beats up a gang. It's like, who cares? We've seen that a lot. So I think it's a more interesting angle to take. However, I do think I am starting to feel that it's like a little bit. I'm just feeling kind of the repetition a little bit more because this is now I think this is the 4th one that he's taken down. I think there's 3 left. I think he even says that in this issue.
Yes. Yeah, there's 3 left.
And just this whole thing of like going and doing it one by one, and then it's like, okay, there's 3 left, and he's like, okay, next time I'm gonna take on another one, and he's like, okay, I got that one, and then we're gonna do this other one. It's just becoming a bit repetitive, I think, to me. I think the story is kind of wearing out its welcome a little bit on that front. So I'm not really sure what the solution to that is, because again, I think that this is the more interesting plot, but I am kind of starting to feel that it's dragging on a little bit. With that said, though, I did still I liked this issue. I think it was a solid enough issue. Again, this is kind of one of those issues where it's like, when there's a big Brawl issue like this, I kind of just like the only way you can really rate this is on the fight, and I think the fight itself was pretty solid, or very good even. I think the ending was maybe the immediate aftermath of the fight was a little bit less interesting, but I think like evaluating it based on the fight and that being the only kind of element of the issue, I think it worked because of that. Because I think the fight was good, but I am hoping that either the Seven Deadly Sins storyline shifts dramatically into a way that takes it into some new territory, or they kind of wrap that part up soon and move on to some other stuff. Because I think it is kind of I'm starting to feel. I just think it's getting it's getting a little bit. I don't want to say tedious, but repetitive is kind of what I think of that too.
No, yeah, I mean, it's definitely repetitive. It keeps switching back and forth, and I think I don't know if, like, I can kind of see what they're doing. Like it feels like a bit like what the Batman comics is doing at this point. Like it's just like stretching it out over so long. I feel like, whereas normally people like comics usually have like 4 to 6 issue arcs and then they switch to something else. This one's like just one really long arc, so that's why I feel like it's definitely feeling repetitive, because like we got the Seventh Deadly Sin in like the first one, and then like the next, like I think it was like 2 or 3, it had like nothing to do with that at all.
There was the one part where I think it was issue 3 where Ben got possessed, and so Matt went and exorcised him. But that was it. While the Seven Deadly Sin stuff was present, it felt more like it was kind of focusing more on the heat, so it didn't feel as present there.
Yeah. And so then we got, I think it was She-Hulk was next, I believe. Well, after Ben was like She-Hulk, I believe. And so then we got then we started going like full throttle into like the Seven Deadly Sins thing, but while still like having on backburn the heat stuff, because they just happen to like coincide, I guess. And so now we're kind of it's just doing that thing where it's like it's just switching like its main focus while keeping the other one on backburn, like because they just happen to like coincide with each other. Fight scene as a whole, I can see where you're saying with the Invincible whole thing, because like some of my memory, some of like the bloodiest Invincible battles were ones where they just like don't really think about what's going on. They just start wailing on each other, and that's exactly what was going on here. Like Matt, like yes, he had to be smart about it, because obviously like Wolverine would have absolutely obliterated him otherwise. But like besides that, Matt just kept saying like basically just like throw punches, keep him off me, just keep hitting him essentially. And so that's why it turned out so bloody for both of them, although Logan, healing factor while Matt stayed injured. I think the reveal that it was lust that took over Wolverine and not wrath, like I feel like I had assumed at first, at least. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, like, Matt even says it in this issue. If there was anybody who would be overcome with wrath, it would be Wolverine. So that's immediately the logical kind of assumption.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that it was lust is actually, I thought that was like a pretty clever twist on it. And like Matt was like, oh, okay, that does make sense. I've always lusted for like battle and stuff. And that's exactly what this fist fight like represented as well. Like just his lust for battle, just kept throwing punches and stuff like that. And then, the way it was resolved at the end was, it was fine, I guess. He threw him into the sea and then I guess blessed the water, so it exorcised demon. But I guess it was fine. I mean, I really don't see any other way he could have possibly done it, I guess. But I don't know. I guess it was that part was fine. And then I last issue I understand why they did the white suit, but for them to just instantly make it go back into red, like I understand the symbolism behind that.
Yeah.
as well, like the red from the blood or whatever, but like for them to just instantly go back to red, I don't understand why they brought it out in the first place.
That's fair. Yeah,
I guess.
I think it was literally just for this sequence to be like, oh, look at this, it's all bloodstained.
Like that's definitely what it feels like, but like why in the end? Like you could see it from the art. The man Daredevil Matt was messed up, it was not good. But I don't know. As a whole, it was alright. It was it's getting repetitive here. A little bit. I don't know, maybe with Elektra in here now, it'll shake things up a bit. Rather than Matt being in his own mind, he'll be able to actually have dialogue with someone else also fighting. So, I don't know, we'll see. But I gave it a 7.
Yeah, I also gave it a 7. Couple points bouncing off what you said. I don't think while this is similar to the Batman run in terms of drawn out stuff, I don't think this is as egregious yet. No,
definitely not.
That fail-safe storyline's been going for 2 years. And then the other thing is, I think in terms of my Invincible comparison, What I'll say is I think this issue is less gory than Invincible is most of the time, but it is as bloody. And the way I'm kind of qualifying that is like in Invincible, like people are getting like their guts like ripped out of them and stuff. You don't see that here, but I think there is as much blood in this issue as there often are in Invincible fights. So that's how I kind of qualify that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 7 for me as well. Still more or less enjoying it, but I do hope it kind of is able to shift the direction of this arc a little bit. Next issue is the 60th anniversary issue, so maybe that'll do something.
Let's switch it to this one. That's just I don't know. Amazon's Attack number 6. Let's get it out of the way here.
Okay, this is Amazon's Attack number 6. As it says in the description, it is the epic finale, written by Josie Campbell. The artist is Vasco Georgiev. I think so. I read this today. This was the last one I read for this week, and I didn't really remember a lot of what's going on. I was immediately confused because I was pretty sure Heracles was like on Themyscira at the end of the last issue, and he's just not in this issue at all. Maybe I'm misremembering and he did get taken out last issue, but I don't remember that at all. So, I mean,
I thought that was a vision.
It might have been. It probably was. But in that case, then I will go and criticize the previous issue for not making it clear enough that it was a vision. So, this does, I think, leave a couple things unresolved. Again, as mentioned, Heracles, either way, I think that's a little bit of an unresolved kind of thing. They technically do resolve the Apples of Discord thing, but very quick. They just get that out of the way in like 2 pages. Yeah. So I guess Savannah was gonna like unleash them, and it was gonna make everybody hate the Amazons even more, I think. And then Mary was able to go through and kind of like contain that, even though the apples got like, they were like, the golden mist was like permeating the... So I don't really know what was going on there. But, and then the other thing was like, what's the deal with the fucking the god that was chained up? Was that Io? Because if so, then she's still alive. I don't think it was, but I don't remember who that was. And
no, that god died.
Okay, I don't know. The other thing is, I think for Nubia, I think this issue works. I think it's satisfying. The problem is she's not the only main character in this book. So, like, from the standpoint of Mary, Cassie, and Yara gets a little bit more than the other two, but, like, none of them really have much in the way of, like, interesting conclusions. They're kind of just off to the side for most of this issue. And so if you were kind of enjoying their parts of this is a very unsatisfying conclusion for their parts of the story. I think even for Ruka, it's a little bit different with her because she spends most of the issue possessed, or some of the issue possessed.
Oh, I don't remember when she gets unpossessed. I will say most of the issue. Half the issue.
Yeah. So that's maybe a little bit different. I think there's kind of more resolution with her, but regardless, I think that the character stuff is what really kind of got rushed around here. There's some kind of allusions to the fact that, like, or not allusions, they just straight up say like this did have some effect on Wonder Woman, but not directly, not in the way that matters, because it's just like Ismene, who is the one who was possessing Faruka, just like sowed like chaos after that Amazon killed all those dudes in the fucking pool hall, and then like from there it just like that like caused people to get even more like freaked out and hate Amazons more and stuff. But like that's information that if we did not have, it would not have mattered. What I'm saying is this series was completely pointless for us to read.
It's I'm so upset.
Yeah. And the thing is, Sebastian, you didn't make me read any of this, but I read this because you were going to, and you were like, I think this will be important. I was like, oh, fine, okay. I was gonna skip this, but you were like, no, I think we should go for this one. So I was like, okay. So yeah. And then like they beat the big demon monster god Amazon. I guess she is an Amazon.
She's one of the original Amazons that has always hated men and like believes they never should have helped. No, they helped them, and then she was betrayed by man.
No, it's the opposite. She's saying throughout this entire issue that she thinks the Amazon should go back to just exclusively serving men.
What? No, I thought it was.
That's what she said. No, that is what she's saying the entire issue. She's like, yeah, it's like, yeah, that's what it is. I just read it. Trust me, I was so confused. I was like, what the fuck is? I was like, that's so. I just. It threw me off so much. I was like, this is an insane... Like, this villain's motivations are fucking ridiculous. Like, it is bonkers.
I thought she wanted to get all of the Amazons back to Greece so they could all be away from man.
Yeah, so that was part of it. Because she was like... She did want to get them all back to Greece. But I don't think it was for that. I think because maybe it's just like the plans are completely contradictory and the motivations don't line up. But I know for a fact she kept saying like Amazons need to go back to their place as serving the world of man, and I was just like, this is insane. Like, what is this person talking about? So yeah, the plan makes no sense. The motivations made no sense, unless I just was not reading it correctly and I completely kind of missed some stuff. But I was just very confused by the whole thing.
Yeah, I think okay. So if I remember correctly, the first issue we started with Faruka, Nubia, and Mary Marvel, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember if the other Wonder.
Yeah, the other two weren't
there. Yeah,
yeah, they weren't there yet. So I'm counting them three as the main, right?
Well, they're on the cover.
Wonder Girl, the other two, one of the Wonder Girls are.
Yara's on the cover. Yeah.
I'm not counting them. They were, if anything, minimal in this.
Cassie's not. To be fair, Cassie is
Genuinely.
not listed, but Yara is listed as supporting character, so she might have just had a more significant role. And we just don't
Cassie is
remember.
right here as supporting. I see her right there.
No, sorry, I'm talking issue number. I'm on the issue number 1 appearances.
Okay, gotcha. Well, anyway, like you said, Nubia got a pretty good, ending story. Faruka, I still don't know who she is really. She's another like a different sect of Amazon. I don't know. She kept the bunny. Genuinely, I don't understand why Mary was in here. I guess because they had Savannah in here, but and she introduced the bunny. The bunny was honestly a lot of help throughout the last 3 issues. Yeah, I just why introduce okay. The episode of Discord makes sense towards the end, right? Because they were like, okay, it's amplified, it amplifies the hate for the Amazons, whatever. That's the plan. I shouldn't have read this. This sucks. It's just so bad. Like it literally, it's just has nothing to do with
I don't
anything.
even think it's that bad. This issue's okay.
I didn't like it that much.
I thought it was fine. But I do think this series. I don't really know why it exists. I don't think. I think we shouldn't have read it, but we did. We read every series. We read every issue. Yeah, I don't know. They do the thing where they're like they say the title of the series in the issue. The point where Nubia goes, Amazons attack.
Because I figured at the end of this, right? I figured at the end of this one at least it'd kind of clear up the Amazon's name, but then Wonder Woman's going off and doing her own sovereign thing, so she has to go defeat Sovereign. These guys maybe clear up the Amazon name. No, they didn't even do that. They just
I never for a second thought they were gonna do that because I
figured it helped blow off some of the heat. I thought maybe the what was his name, who's Sergeant Steele. I thought I don't know. I figured something would happen with the U.S. government, at least with Nubia, something. But no, she's just yeah, we're not leaving. So
here's the thing. I knew this was how the series was gonna go because Wonder Woman is a bigger character than any of the characters in this issue. And that creative team is also a more well-known creative team than the ones on this series. And so because of those two things, DC knows that more people are going to be reading that series than this series. And so I knew for a fact that they were going to make it so that this series was not going to impact that series at all in any meaningful way. Because they want to alienate the readers of that series who don't read this one by making this one vital reading for that, right? And so to do that, they have to make sure that this one does not rock the boat. At least I think so, right? That's what I thought because that just kind of seems
they should have just made it a mini event. That's how it is. That's what they should have done.
I disagree. I have event fatigue.
Mini event, so they include both of them, so people had to read this thing, and maybe it would have been better.
Yeah, so I don't know. Regardless, I give it a 6. I think it's fine. That's the thing. My feelings for this series are just bafflement and confusion. I don't have any ill will towards this series. I don't hate it. I'm not full of anger. I just hate the fact that we
read it.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think the series as a whole, it's okay.
All right, I gave it a 6. Overall, I didn't really like the issue. Series as a whole, it was fine, I guess. It doesn't do anything. I feel like it doesn't change. What it had.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It's not like series always have to change something in the universe or whatever. But I just don't understand in the general why we even had the issue the series. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. So I guess I don't hate the series. I just hate the fact that I actually read it all. 6 is across the board.
Yep. Okay, let's see. Well, I think we can. Let's move on from that. Let's move on to another one. Let's move on to Amazon's Attack number 6. Change of plans. This is all we're going to talk about the entire episode. No, okay. Okay, I'll move on to. This is another one I had very little to say on. I feel like this was kind of an in-between chapter that didn't really do much to kind of advance things majorly. Do you have a guess as to what I might be referring to here?
Genuinely, there's like 3 of them, possibly 4. I'm gonna say Green Arrow.
You are correct. It's Green Arrow.
Yeah.
So this is written by Joshua Williamson. It's got 2 artists credited: Tom Derenick and Sean Izachi. I don't see Tom Derenick on like the actual in the issue credits, but he's listed on Leader Comic Geeks. So yeah, this is kind of, it's picking up right after the last issue. Oliver's now working for Amanda Waller to try and go and get Roy, because they're trying to get, is it Sanctuary? Is that what it's called?
I believe that's what it was called. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's what the that mask is called.
Yeah. But so he and his son Connor go there, and they meet a bunch of other Red Arrows. We have, who do we have? We have Sienna, Red Canary. She popped up in a Beast World tie-in not too long ago. We have Speedy, Mia Dearden. I don't know her. We have Red Arrow, Amiko Queen, which is Ollie's, I think, half-sister.
Half-sister is what he said in the
yeah.
Issue, yeah. And
then we have Arrowette, Sissy King Jones, who I also don't know. So the majority of this issue, like Ollie goes and he meets all of them, and the majority of this issue is kind of taken up with them kind of having a kind of reunion, and then also giving some information on these other characters. On the one hand, I didn't mind that too much, because like I didn't know some of these characters, so it's nice to kind of get that kind of up to date thing. But I do think it kind of does interrupt the flow of the issue a little bit, because they're like, all right, Amiko's backstory exposition is done. Now let's move on to Sienna's backstory exposition. And so I think it does kind of, mess with the flow a little bit. I think it's handled about as well as you can handle this, but it did kind of jump things a little bit. And then, so Oliver goes into like the complex that Roy is supposedly chilling in, and it has a bunch of like hologram kind of things, projections of, kind of things and people from the lives of the people who are there. And it's essentially kind of to dissuade people from stealing whatever's in there. And so Ollie goes in there, meets up with Roy, reunites with him, and then the like projections of the Justice League show up, and he's like, we're gonna have to fight the Justice League. And that's about where this issue ends. It's a quick one. I don't think it's as strong as the last 3 issues. I think of this arc, of the post like time travel stuff that this series has done, I think this is the worst issue of those bunches. But again, to say that, it's still, we're in like the grounded kind of Green Arrow stuff, which I think is working really well for this series right now. And so as a result, I do still like, I like this issue, but ultimately just kind of, I did feel like the kind of constant backstory jumping was a little bit interruptive to the flow. And as not much really happened, it's not an issue that I was like, damn, that was amazing, So that's what I'm
Yeah, I mean, the whole, like, I agree with it. I like the whole like spiel of like these characters' backstories. Because like I didn't know basically any of them. Besides
I knew Amiko and Sienna. Yeah.
Like Sienna, I knew because of that one like a Beast World tie-in, but I didn't even know she was called Red Canary. I think she probably, I probably
did.
I
did
remember it.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Them calling her Red Canary. But I remember seeing her there. But the other 3 I had no idea about. And at this point, it's kind of like the Flash family. It's just so convoluted and all fucking warping together. I
actually was going to mention that. I was like, shit, there's a lot of fucking arrows.
Like, the Bat family is just so easy to keep track of. I don't understand.
But I think that's because I think that's because Batman is so high profile that we just kind of know those characters as
not like, even. It's the fact that they all have different colored costumes.
Well, that does help. Yeah, that's fair.
Why are they all red? It's so hard to tell them apart.
But like the Beatles have different colored costumes, and I don't know which Beetle is which, other than Jaime and Kaji.
When they're in their armor form, I can easily tell them. When they're out, I just haven't read enough of Blue Beetle to really actually know each of those, like, and actually tell them apart.
I don't know their character names, even when they're out, they are in the suits.
Well, in the suits, it's just called by their fucking armor. It's like blue. There's Blue Beetle. There's Green Beetle. There's like the yellow one. There's the blood one. I only know the actual alien name. I only know the Blue Beetle, Kaji Da. That's the only
Yeah.
one I fucking know. But yeah, it's all. It's
One of
just
them might be named Natita, because that's the cover of number 8. It says Natita no more. But we're not here to talk about that, Sebastian. We're going to talk about that next week.
You're the one that went on that.
No, I know. Listen, Sebastian, I know you want to talk about Blue Beetle, but if you can just save it for next week, okay? For once in your life, stop talking about Blue Beetle. We'll get to it next week.
All right, my bad. But yeah, it's you know, if they had some, you know, different colored armor or maybe just dress differently, it'd be so much easier to tell these people apart. It's so hard sometimes. Anyway, yeah, it was nice to you know, back to what I was saying. It was nice to get the backstory. It did interrupt the flow a bit because like the beginning was like it was like intense, you know, Waller stuff. You know, that's kind of intense right now. Or not intense, but like serious. You know, like it had like that serious tone. And then you know we got to the they got to the entrance or whatever, and then the three or four. I only saw 3 at first, but there was apparently 4.
Yeah, one of them joined later, is what it is.
Yeah. I don't even know what to call. Like, the ones with the bows and arrows showed up because Canary doesn't have a fucking bow and arrow. She didn't show up right away. You know, they took down Oliver and Connor, and so that's another thing. I don't understand why they like decided to like electrocute them both when they instantly were just like, yeah, my bad about that. You know, we were
Yeah, hey,
to
good to see you
attack
guys.
anybody,
Yeah.
even though we knew who you were. We were just like, yeah, no, we gotta do this now, but whatever. And then you know, once we get Oliver inside, it gets back into that like serious-ish tone, simply because of like Roy being like, I know you're not real and stuff like that. And then it turns out, you know, he was real, whatever, and went back to like it didn't get like super overly familiar like it did outside, you know, but it still kept some serious tones, especially when the Justice League showed up or whatever. And yeah, like you said, next issue they're supposedly fighting them. We shall see. But yeah, I don't know. It was alright. It was a filler-ish thing. 7.
7 for me as well.
Alright. Well, I'm gonna continue talking for a very long time then. We're gonna go Power Girl number 7 here.
Woohoo!
Yeah, no.
Your pick of the week, right, Sebastian?
Woohoo, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Writer Leah Williams, artist Margaret Savage. Thank Christ, we're going to like Brainiac next issue, because I genuinely think they would have kept going with this one, like if they had the chance, you know, just like some random ass fucking thing, but you know they knew they had to like end it or whatever. But sweet Christ, what a wild ride these last 3 issues have been, honestly. So right off the bat, I remember I said I didn't like the art last issue. That's still the same. Didn't really like it. I liked it a bit more this time. I think, but that's because I've had 2 issues at this point to like, you know, have it grow on me. But still kind of prefer the other art. I kind of, I was thinking to myself this issue, right, that if they had kept the old art for when they were like in like on Earth or whatever, and then they switched the art when they went to this like magical area, I thought that would have been nice, and I would have actually enjoyed the art in that case because it would have felt like, you know, something different. Story wise, not good. Okay, so yeah, they got transported to this other dimension thing. It's like a magical dimension that the evil scientist lady took over. I think her name was like Ava or something. I'm gonna call her Ava because I don't remember her name.
You always do this. Last
when
time
they're
you were
not.
like, last time you were like, what's Wally's kid name? I'm gonna call him Theo.
Well, okay, they have like such little part in the actual story for being the main villain
Okay.
that I just don't even bother to remember. Like I don't.
The character's
remember.
not listed on League of Comic Geeks, so I can't verify that. So we can
don't
call her
remember.
Ava.
Like she's the whole main villain, and there's not even a fight.
Yeah.
Like it's just God, it's bad. I'm gonna be talking about this for like 20 minutes if I keep going on. But basically, they get transported to this world. It got taken over by a scientist lady who traveled to the stars because in issue 5, the cat stopped her science experiments, right? Remember that bad fucking number 5 issue where it was just the cat adventure? Yeah, they brought it back to this one. So she went out to space
to continue her experiments for some reason. And then this magical queen lady, the queen from this dimension, invited her to the dimension. And then the science lady realized that her experiments work now because of magic, not science. So she takes over this dimension and she turns people into insects. And so Power Girl and Wonder Woman learn about this through one of the people that actually live in this dimension. And so they go to the castle to stop her, right? And there's no strat. They don't have powers, like I mentioned last issue. They still don't have powers. So they just they gear up with medieval stuff, and they just them two just bum rush it essentially. Like Power Girl goes into the front gates while Supergirl does something outside. I genuinely don't remember, but like Power Girl just like dances around the enemies because like while she doesn't have super strength, she still has her like combat experience or whatever, so she can't get hit. Nobody can hit her, essentially. She gets to the scientist lady, just knocks her down. The weird bird creatures come flying in and do something. I don't remember. They were there. And then they knock the crown off the queen that had her, like, possessed, essentially. And then she banishes the scientist lady. Bada bing, bada boom. They did it. That was it. It's bad for...
That might be the angriest I've ever heard you get in one of these.
It's so bad.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's finish off DC here. Let's go to the Flash number 7. This is written by Simon Spurrier. The artist is Ramon Perez. So, what do you think about the art in this issue, Sebastian?
It changed, didn't it?
Yeah.
Did it?
I'm assuming. Yeah. Did you not know that beforehand?
No, I definitely noticed it because there weren't the weird black spots.
Okay. Yeah, also, it's like, because that other artist, Mike Deodato Jr., he has a habit of just, like, even on big, like, splash pages, he'll just throw in random lines to, like, separate panels where there's, even though it's all one, like, big image. Mm-hmm. And that's not here, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, no, I definitely noticed it, because I definitely, like, there weren't any black spots. Did I, like, I don't know if I really, like, still like the art 100%, but I definitely liked it more than the other issues because there weren't any black spots.
Was it less Play-Doh-y?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it was definitely less Play-Doh-y. That's what I'm saying. Like, it just less Play-Doh-y. I definitely noticed that.
Okay, so I think I have not rated this yet because I still don't know really how I feel about it. Because this is one of those issues where at the start I liked it quite a bit. I was kind of digging it. And then the longer it went on, the less I liked it. Because the start, like, it starts with Max Mercury and Bart Allen in that, that fucking...
Icto.
Yeah, right, that's what they call it. And so they're there, and they're getting attacked by the Uncoiled. And then Inspector Pilgrim and a whole bunch of other people pop up. And so they're all part of this organization. I don't remember the name, but it's essentially the TVA.
Yeah.
So they pop up, and they kind of give Jai's a different one. Who's Jai?
Yes. Jai is
one of Wally's kids?
Jai is Wally's, yes, the one that, like, can, like, do weird stuff.
So they kind of give him a tour, and they essentially, there's a lot of technobabble that I don't remember most of, but essentially they're like, Speed Force users are causing the destruction of the universe. They're, like, unraveling time every time they use the Speed Force. So essentially these guys are going around just capturing a whole bunch of them. They don't want to kill them. They're trying to, make sure they can keep them alive. Because they're not malicious, right? This organization, but they're just like, we need to figure something out. So we're just gonna have to like freeze you guys in stasis until we can figure this out so that you guys do not continue to destroy everything. So yeah, that happens. I think, right, Max and Bart, they do get frozen, right? They don't manage to escape.
Yes, at the end, they try to escape, but in the end they get caught, yes.
Yeah. Then the other part of this issue is Barry going around and kind of trying to figure out what happened to Wally, because he stabbed him at the end of the last issue, but he doesn't remember that. And I think this is the part of the story that I didn't like as much. It starts well, I think, because he goes to visit Linda, Wally's wife, and he's like asking a bunch of questions about Wally. And she's kind of creepy in this sequence. Like, there's something, like, off about it. It feels very like, oh, man, something's, like, weird and eerie and wrong here. So she keeps being like, he's fine. And then she keeps kind of, like, forgetting that Barry is there and that they're having this conversation. And Barry's like, where's Wally? And she's like, shh, he's a superhero, don't you know? And it's just a very weird sequence. And I think it works really effectively. But then Mr. Terrific shows up. And I'm not a fan of Mr. Terrific in this run. I don't have a problem with the character, but whenever he pops up, that means we're about to get a shit ton of technobabble that I do not understand.
Yes.
This is no exception. And so that's where the issue, I feel like, kind of just dragged a bit, and I was less interested in it. The only thing that kind of happens in that section is that Barry kind of finally learns about Wally's new powers. I think it ends interestingly with Wally waking up in like that big kind of garden of statues. And
God, Impulse said it again, I think. Was it Impulse that said it? Somebody mentioned it again, that Barry or that Wally was there. I don't remember who
I don't think it was Impulse, because I don't think he would have known about it.
It was one of the speedsters. It was Barry, Impulse, or the other guy, Max, I think his name is. Max? Is it Max?
Well, Max and Impulse were trapped. Well, Max and Impulse both got trapped before before Wally ever went to that garden, so it can't be them.
Well, Barry didn't know about it, but I swear it was one of them. I'm pretty sure it was one of those three that said it.
But yeah, regardless, we wakes up there and there's a big creature coming up, and this like ethereal ghostly person is like, oh, you're about to have a meeting with this big this big ethereal being. So yeah, I think it's a cool setup for the next issue. But yeah, as a whole, I did go back and forth on this. I did like it quite a bit at the start, but as it went on, we got more of the technobabble that I was kind of used to, and the creepy elements kind of started fading out again. I think this run is most interesting when it's kind of focusing on that cosmic horror element, which it kind of seemed like that was going to be the case with this issue initially, and then it kind of did skirt away from that a little bit. So I do think this is solid. I think it was not bad. I didn't mind reading it. But yeah, I do think generally I was less enthused with it the longer the issue went on.
Yeah. I agree with that. There was literally the whole middle section was, because even like when Mr. Terrific started talking, like the main word I remember from that whole spiel was spectrogram. Something to do with that. But then it continued onto with Impulse, Max, and Inspector Pilgrim. And that was just another like huge, it wasn't technobabble, but it was just it was info dump, like huge info dump. And so that was just more, it was a lot of reading. This was like a lot of reading this issue. The Barry stuff, well, as creepy as it was, it didn't interest me as much. I was definitely more interested in when Impulse and Max were like stuck in that in Icto, essentially. I thought that was a lot more interesting, especially the way Max explained the name. We're stuck in between TikTok, so it's Icto. So,
yeah, right.
Yeah. So
and when I'm going to clarify this because this is the world we live in. We don't mean TikTok the app, but like TikTok of a clock. Yeah.
Yeah. Referring to time, essentially.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, Max. I don't know if Max has always been like that, like super positive and like being like the world provides or whatever. Or if that's something new because he was like trapped in this world or whatever.
He was earlier in this run. He was like that in issue 3, so I'm assuming that's
okay.
a general thing for him. Yeah.
Okay. So then then that I won't really say more about that one then. In the synopsis for this, I don't know why it mentions G.O.D.S. He has nothing.
Yeah, he's not in this
at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was all right. I am actually interested in where Wally is right now.
Yeah.
I'm actually interested in this whole new like area or whatever, the Eden as I've been calling it. But I'm actually interested in that. So that's
So question for you.
No, I already know.
Okay,
So no.
You're gonna still make you read this next time?
Yep.
Okay. Damn it! I got you with Captain America. I was hoping I'd get you with this too.
I don't know. I gave it a 6.
I think I'll probably go 6 as well. I think like around the start I was feeling an 8. Around the midpoint I was feeling a 7. I think by the end of it I think 6 is what I would go for.
It was just a lot of reading for me, and it's a lot when it's like that.
Yeah.
Man, too much. All right, let's go Incredible Hulk here.
Okay. Well, this would be Incredible Hulk number 10, written by Phil Kennedy Johnson, and the artist here is Danny Earls. Okay. I think this issue could probably be pretty much cut and not much would change.
Yeah.
Really, all that happens here is that we get a bit of a chase sequence where Frozen Charlotte is going after Charlie. I do think the Frozen Charlotte design is very cool. it's got some Bloodborne vibes to me. I don't know if that's something.
No, I could definitely,
The way I was kind of thinking of it is it's like if the dancer from the Boreal Valley from Dark Souls 3, that boss, was a Bloodborne character instead of a Dark Souls 3 boss. I think this is exactly what she would look like. So that was cool. But the rest of this is Hulk meets a ghost detective.
Yes.
Who takes him on a trip through time, A Christmas Carol style, and like shows the origins of Frozen Charlotte, which does eventually lead Hulk to where Frozen Charlotte is. But there's a lot of stuff here. First of all, I don't think the flashback stuff is that interesting. Second of all, what is going on with the ghost detective? It is never explained. He just pops up and then he's gone.
Yep.
And I was like, what is going on here? So that was strange. I don't know. And that's kind of it. I gave last issue some props, despite not loving that issue. I gave it props because it did feel like it was kind of starting to, again, like push the story forward a little bit at least, right? It was kind of bringing the Eldest stuff back into play. Betty showed up again, and there's kind of the whole deal with, Hulk can, Bruce can give the Hulk to Eldest, and then Bruce can have his own life back. That stuff was coming back in focus there a little bit. It's gone now again. This issue has nothing to do with any of that.
Nothing to do with it.
So I just ended up kind of just thinking this was I think the flashback stuff was not interesting. I liked the present day stuff more or less. I think the chase was decent enough. And, I do miss Nick Klein on the art still. I think this issue's art was okay. I think it looks better than last issue, even though it is the same artist. But I do still think, like, when Nick Klein is on this book, that is when it's by far at its best. But yeah, I mean, besides that, like, it was fine, I thought. I have not much to say on this one, it turns out. But yeah, I thought it was okay.
No, yeah, I mean, the whole flashback thing, unnecessary, realistically. Like, I feel like they're trying to make us care for the Frozen Charlotte in some way or like sense, or I don't know. Because why else would you give us her backstory essentially? And it wasn't even like a backstory necessarily. Yeah. It was
just a history of all the people she killed, essentially.
Yeah, basically why she got her name. Like, that's.
Yeah, I will say though, I do think of the monsters that this series has done, like the one and done monsters, I think she's the most interesting, actually, design wise and personality wise.
Like, realistically, she's gotten the most amount of time on.
I don't think it's necessarily that, because the demon from the last arc was around a little bit, but they just don't have, like, the rest of these monsters have just not had personalities, so they don't really speak. I think that immediately sets Frozen Charlotte a little bit above, just we actually have personality from her, and she's at first glance just an old lady, and then it turns out she's this creepy big monster. I think it's a more interesting angle than just a big fucking demon that is just killing people. I think it's a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, fair enough, but yeah, the whole ghost detective bit, like, again, like, sure, it led Hulk. You could argue that it led Hulk. This is the flashback is what led Hulk to where Charlie is her name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie, where she's at with Frozen Charlotte, because the other alternative was Hulk literally rampaging through New Orleans, which is what we got a little bit of before the ghost detective actually showed up. But it's like you said, he like appeared and then he's just gone the next.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing. The chase scene itself with between Frozen Charlotte and Charlie, like you said it was fine. Can it even be considered a chase scene? I don't know. Character design wise, yeah, Frozen Charlotte looks cool, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, man. It was I really 6.
Yeah, I gave it a 6 as well. I'm not at the point where I'm gonna drop this yet. And actually, to be fair, a lot of that is because I know that Nick Klein is coming back with issue number 12. So, like, I'm assuming those will be great again. And the next issue sounds. We're getting the big fight between Hulk and Frozen Charlotte, and that's probably going to be pretty cool. And also, if the synopsis is to believe, Eldest is going to come back into play again. So I'm still hopeful for the series going forward. I still, again, want to like it, but yeah, this issue, it did kind of feel like I don't know why this is really here. And so, yeah, I agree. I'm also going to give it a 6. Okay, well, we did Hulk. Let's do G.O.D.S. number 6.
Hey.
This is written by Jonathan Hickman. The artist is Valerio Schiti. This is, we're coming to the final stretch of this series. There are only 2 issues left. This one's kind of another one-off story a little bit. I think it's a little bit less disconnected than the last one is, because it is building off of events from the last issue where we found out that since Aiko has recruited Mia to the natural order of things, she's not able to fully fulfill her potential and become like the avatar of the powers that be. Her magical powers are going to be stunted, and she won't be able to, continue her magical training really much farther past where it's already at. So this deals with Aiko trying to go and get an audience with the Living Tribunal to essentially reverse that so that Mia can still, do her powers and everything. And so the way she has to do this is she kind of has to go through this, gamut of choices where she'll go up to some people and they'll present her with a choice between one thing and the other, right?
Yes.
And so she has to choose one of those, and then once she chooses, she can go through. So she makes a choice at the start that's like she can only tell the truth for the next 24 hours. And then at the end, the last choice is it's either between that or losing one eye. And then at the end, the final choice is you can either tell only lies for the next 24 hours or lose both of your eyes. And since the initial 24 hours had not passed yet, she had to end up losing both of her eyes. Because apparently, like, there is kind of some suggestion that you could technically choose both, but it is very likely that it would just cause the person to just completely implode because just their mortal will is not strong enough to handle that. So she doesn't end up doing that. She just ends up losing both her eyes. But essentially, yeah, she does end up getting to talk to the Living Tribunal. Living Tribunal is essentially like, fuck off, you fucked this up, and I'm not going to help you with it. But then Oblivion, who's right next to the Living Tribunal, is like, I will help you. I will give Mia her magical ability back, but then she will fall kind of under my domain, my purview, and she'll kind of report to me, I think. So, and then that's kind of where it ends. And then she has kind of a conversation with Wynn, and that's kind of the extent of it. So, yeah, again, like, I liked this series. I think this issue is good. Again, like, this one is less confusing than some of the other ones, so it is kind of standalone. And, yeah, I think this has been a very just consistently very good, but not kind of, not necessarily blowing me away, but just a very kind of good series of kind of these anthology, disconnected little stories about the kind of, these very powerful beings in the universe. So I think this one is another very good entry. It's again right along with pretty much every other issue of the series. I think I've given them all literally the same rating. So this shows you the consistency of this series. But yeah, I did quite like this one.
Yeah, I actually quite like this one too. I really enjoyed the ending specifically. It was very heavily foreshadowed too at the beginning when the fox line of
wolf. It's the wolf. Yeah.
Oh yeah, line of wolves. My bad. It's not a fox. Yeah, when he was explaining the whole like choosing thing when like Aika first got the decision, it was like left eyeball or only tell the truth essentially for 24 hours. She went instantly for like the truth, and he went, wait, hold on, like think about this, like blah blah blah. Like there are gonna be multiple decisions. Like you'll choose truth now, but then later on you'll get one where it's like you have to do something like horrible or lie for the next 24 hours, and you can't choose lie because, if you choose lie and then you basically just like you'll go crazy essentially. Like that's it.
Your being will like spontaneously implode is kind of
essentially
the implication. Yeah.
And so she went, nah, it's fine. I like my eyes. Yeah, nothing bad happens until the very end where the line of wolves is basically like, all right, I took you to the Living Tribunal. Now you have to do me a favor. And so she said, all right, what? And so that's when he flipped it on her, was like, all right, give me both your eyes or basically like combust yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can only lie for 24 hours. So like he completely like flipped it on her at the very end, and you could see it in her face, the way they drew it, at least. Like she is not expecting that at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the whole Oblivion thing, she did not want that to happen. I guess because I think if I remember correctly, like Oblivion is evil or something like that. So she was like against it, but he was like, it's already been done. Like you don't really have a say in it. That's just how it is now. And so she had to accept it, whatever. But yeah, I thought this one was. I don't know why I enjoyed this one so much. I think it was maybe because of how straightforward it was and like easy to understand compared to some of the other ones, like you said. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was really great. And I gave it an 8.
I gave it an 8 as well.
All right, I'm going to talk about Superior Spider-Man number 5 here.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, he says let's, but it was just me.
Yep, I didn't read this one.
So it it continues. Spider-Man, Peter and Otto are working together now to save Anna Maria. So we get they're in like a ship going to where they're at right now. And so we go to Anna and God, what was her name? Supernova.
Yeah.
Yeah. We go to them, and Anna. Last issue, Anna Maria was able to escape, at least where she was being held, but she's still in like the building or whatever. And Supernova realizes she's in the air ducts, right? And so Anna Maria is basically like, "Yeah, you can follow me, but I know you're not because I barely fit in here, and you've been trapped in like a confined space for like ever, essentially. And so you're basically gonna like just kill me, which." A dead hostage is not a hostage at all. And Supernova never really wanted to hurt Anna in the first place, which is evidenced later on when Anna crawling through the air ducts almost falls down a chute, and she barely grabs on to like the ledge and basically like pleads Supernova to like come rescue her, which she does. And she when she goes to grab her hand, like she can turn off her powers on like her hand, like she can basically like turn off her powers. She just chooses not to. So when she saves Anna, and she's basically like apologizes for burning her and stuff like that, and like not being able to like help her like patch herself up and stuff. And Anna Maria almost like basically gets Spider-Man off like Peter himself, because Supernova thinks Peter's the evil Spider-Man. So she almost gets him off the hook, but Peter shows up and goads Supernova into going to fight him. They have a bit of a scuffle. That's when Peter's about to get like basically face blasted. Otto shows up to like distract Supernova and like kind of like save the day ish. He basically throws Peter over to like a separate trap, and Supernova goes and gets trapped in that. Yeah, that's pretty much the end of that story. We then cut to It ends with cutting to Spider-Boy, escaping out of the hospital, going to Oscorp, meeting some like spiders that like can talk, and turns out that those spiders are Doc Ock, and I guess Spider-Boy is the new Superior Spider-Man. I hated that twist at the end. I thought it was very bad. He literally just last issue tried to take over Peter's mind again, and that didn't work. So I guess taking over the Spider-Boys is, I guess, the next best bet. I don't know. I gave it a 5. I didn't like it that much.
Here's the question for you: how long are you gonna keep going with this?
I just feel so invested at this point. I don't know. It's
okay.
Not like
well.
I usually, the way I decided, right, is usually when I'm starting to dread reading the next issue. That's when I'm like, all right, it's time to drop this. And I'm not at that point yet.
Okay. All right. Well, let's say we switch gears to the Six Fingers #2.
All right.
This is written by Dan Waters. The artist is Sumit Kumar. Okay, so I think this is good. I do think I'm kind of trying to remember what happens in this, because I don't think there's a whole lot. A lot of it is there's a lot of it that's based around the art gallery.
Yes.
From the first issue, we do see the last time actually we had an episode, we talked about the One Hand #2, which is where Ari does briefly run into Johannes at the art gallery. Mm-hmm. And I questioned then, I was like, what's the timeline of this? Because I don't think we saw that in One Hand #1. We do see it here, so I was glad to see that from the other perspective, just to kind of line up when everything is kind of going on. So there is that. There's also a conversation at the start of the art gallery, long conversation. There's a lot of kind of very, flowing, verbose, poetic dialogue kind of being thrown in there. And then there is one part that I really, really liked, where there's a big discussion in this issue about night terrors, and how when you're in a night... Okay, hang on. I forgot that night terrors is like a derogatory term on our show now because of the fucking night terrors event. Yeah, I forgot that that's we don't bring up night terrors except in our segment Better or Worse Than Night Terrors.
Yeah.
But so there's a big segment about night terrors, the concept, and like the thing that happens when you're sleeping, not the fucking DC event. They don't talk about the DC event in this issue, where they're essentially saying, like, if you're in one of those, look for a clock. If it's ticking, if it's not ticking, that's your clue, and you can kind of wake up from there. There's a really creepy sequence though where he talks about one that he had after his dad's death, where he went down during a night terror and he saw his dad in the living room, and his dad like pressed an arrowhead into his hand, And then he looked at the clock, and the clock was ticking. And when he woke up, he had the arrowhead. And that's the kind of the thing that motivated him to kind of do all the archaeological stuff that he was kind of trying to do in the first issue. And so it's kind of talking about that stuff, talking about night terrors. And there's a point where he's like, he goes to like look at his wall and like maybe peel something away from his wall, and he like blacks out and wakes up, and there's a huge, it's a double page spread of just a big part of the cipher, and he's killed another person. That was like, when the issue went to that section, it was like a huge fucking left turn in a good way, in terms of like just tonally, it was really jarring, but intentionally so, to disorient the audience and be like, oh my god, it was like whiplash. Because up to that point, this series, like when Johannes is not blacking out, it's not that like intense. Like, it's a lot of kind of philosophical discussions and debates, because Johannes, he seems like a, you know, again, aside from the murders that he doesn't remember doing, he seems like just kind of a normal dude. So I think the juxtaposition of those kind of philosophical conversations, it's pretty low key, it's pretty chill, and then just to cut to that stuff, it really just like, it makes the impact just pop really effectively. And so that's kind of where that issue goes. And I think him escaping the art gallery is kind of where the issue ends, right? I don't remember the ending too well.
Yeah, he leaves the art gallery. Yeah.
So again, like, I think it's a very solid issue, very solid entry. I do like, again, it fleshes out some of the details from the one hand number 2. And I think, again, just like the mystery of, you know, of why and how and what's going on with Johannes, that's become just so interesting. And I think, like, otherwise you'd have a fairly standard like murder mystery, like, you know, Ari's trying to get him, and you know, and it's well written, that part of it, absolutely. But I think the kind of weird, creepy, almost supernatural feeling angle that this book is taking makes both of them doubly interesting. I think they're playing off each other really well, and just both series are firing off really well. Again, like I've said it pretty much every time we talk about any of these issues from either series, that I love the concept here. And I think it's all the more impressive because if either of these writers was not good, right? If you had a kind of an okay, mediocre, subpar writer on either of these series, or even if just one of these writers was kind of off their game on one issue, I think this entire thing falls apart. But because they're both so locked in, it just is kind of, they're both elevating each other constantly, and it's been really interesting. It's a fascinating read. I've really been enjoying these dual series.
Yeah. I really like this one. I think, if I remember, this is my pick of the week. I really
is it really?
Yeah, I believe so. It was. Yeah, I think so.
No, never mind. I take that back. I realized that the other one is for one specific reason. This one was a close second, though. This one was a close second. For me, I'm really enjoying the Six Fingers. I think more than the One Hand at this point. Simply based.
I think they're about on par.
I don't know, man. I think I've enjoyed this one a bit more. I think the whole I feel like, because the One Hand tries to unravel a mystery, but like this one just like further throws you deeper into the mystery.
Yeah, it also changes the mystery. Like it's a different mystery than the One Hand. Yeah,
because it's like he doesn't even know why he's doing it. Whilst in the One Hand, you're trying to figure out why he's doing it essentially, but you know he doesn't know why he's doing it. It's just it gets really, it can get really deep there. But like I don't know. Yeah, I think just the whole. Like you said, the whole mystery behind it, and some of like the philosophical. Thank you. I seriously can't say this word. Hold on. Philosophical.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. The whole dialogue, and then I think I liked the new character that got introduced, like the whole
she was interesting.
The whole art director, is that what you call
something?
Her?
Yeah,
I don't remember exactly, but and then she is obviously intrigued by Johannes because she realizes something's going on there with the way he's acting. And just in general, I think overall as a whole, I really am enjoying the Six Fingers. It's really good. I gave it a 9.
I have it an 8.
All right, let's talk about Spider-Punk.
Yeah, well, I say excitedly, but I don't like this one that much. It's okay. Okay, so first of all, it's written by Cody Ziegler. The artist is Justin Mason. Now, this is again one of those instances where we are talking about a book that, yes, there was an issue of this series that released the week we're talking about it, but we're both only talking about issue number 1, which came out in February. So we're a month behind on this, but regardless. Okay, so this is interesting because, okay, so I think I don't know if I've thought about this on the show. I know I've told Sebastian about this before, but this is the sequel to another Spider-Punk miniseries with the same creative team, or at least the same writer. And so I read some of that first Spider-Punk series because I heard that Daredevil was in it. It's a different version of Daredevil, but I heard that Daredevil was in it, so I was like, okay, cool. I'll read that issue. And I read it, and I didn't like it, so I was like, I'm not gonna keep reading this. It's also in a different universe, so I'm gonna drop off it. So I didn't read any more of that, and I liked this issue more than I remember liking the one I read from that first series. However, I don't think it's great. What I do like, I liked the action sequence at the start. I think that was really fun. I think it was just a good fun action sequence. I like the art sometimes. There are pages in this issue that look so good. Like right at the start, there's a double page spread where and the right half of that page is Hobie's mask, kind of his head, and it just looks incredible. But I think for me, it's the faces are a little bit. I'm not sure about them. Something about the style and the faces, I don't love. So sometimes I like the art, but sometimes I don't. And then so they have an action sequence against the Lizards, which is it's like a rival band to the Spider Band, but they're all like the Rogues Gallery, the Sinister Six. And so we kind of learned through context that the Spider Band previously went up against Norman Osborn. They killed him apparently, and now there's kind of a power vacuum because I guess he was the president, I think.
I don't know about that one.
I don't remember if that's accurate. That may be off. But regardless, so they're kind of trying to pick up the pieces of America after that. So like Shuri is over there as a Wakandan delegate to kind of help with, getting the U.S. back on their feet, working in concert with T'Challa. T'Challa's not in the U.S. He's still in Wakanda, but there's a bunch of like hologram stuff. And then the other part of it is that Doc Ock, Otto Octavius, is also there, and he's working with Justin Hammer. Reluctantly, he doesn't want to work with Justin Hammer because, Justin Hammer's annoying. But essentially, Justin Hammer's trying to... He's looking at this from a product angle and like, how can we sell this tech that Otto has? Whereas Otto's like, we're going to fill that power vacuum. We actually have a plan to like replace Norman Osborn, so we're going to try and, go do that. So, but Justin Hammer rushes the product into development, and as a result, it goes to attack the Spider-Man. They are able to defeat it, and then Otto gets pissed, and he's like, well, now I can work on my own personal project, and that's kind of where the issue ends. Then there's a backup story where Kamala Khan and this version of Daredevil, Matea Murdock, they fight this version of the Bullseye, and it's just kind of a quick little fight there. So I mean, it's okay. I like I said, I do like this more than I liked what I read of the other one, and it's the bummer because I like this writer a lot. He's the current writer of the Miles Morales Spider-Man run, which has been incredible. Like he's killing it on that book. He's also the writer of the new Deadpool series, which we'll be talking about next week. That first issue just came out today on the day we're recording this. So I hope that's great. But this series gives me a little bit of pause because I can see elements of this transferring onto Deadpool, and that would be the kind of stuff that I think would make it would switch Deadpool from funny Deadpool to annoying Deadpool. So yeah, I mean, it's just like it's okay. It's not terrible. Is this my least favorite thing I read this week? Probably not.
It definitely isn't for me.
But it's tied for the lowest score I think I gave anything this week. So, again, it's okay. But I just, I'm not too engaged in it. And I think also the fact that these are all alternate universe versions of characters that I don't really have much familiarity with, it just kind of made it harder to kind of connect and be invested in their stories, especially since outside of Hobie himself, the rest of the team doesn't really have much to do. So... I love Daredevil, but this version of Daredevil, I don't know shit about her really right now. And I know I could go back and read that other series. That would probably fill in some gaps. But still, regardless, I think the team is not balanced in a way that makes me care for really any of them, especially because these are characters that are relatively new, a lot of them. And I just don't feel like the writing is doing what it needs to do to get me invested in the characters.
No, I mean, I think I pretty much agreed with everything you said. I really like The part I really like about this issue is the action sequences. Mainly the first one and the one when they're up against the giant robot.
Yeah.
I thought they were just really well drawn. But like it's like you said, like I like the art sometimes. Like other times I'm just like, what really am I looking at? Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't look right.
Yeah.
And for me, the whole middle part with Hobie like trying to figure out how to like he knows how to lead clearly because he can lead the team really well when they're fighting, but he's like struggling to lead like a society, I guess
Yeah.
is what it is, which kind of contradicts like his like supposed character, which it's against society, but like and so yeah, so like some of the dialogue for me, like not the dialogue, but like I don't know, it's just it gets a bit like boring at times for me at least. I don't know, I'm just not too invested in that aspect, I guess. But yeah, like I said, I really like the action in this. I thought that's really well, and then I actually really enjoyed the secondary story in this one as well. I thought that one was very I thought that one was actually in total better than the main story. I enjoyed it more reading it at least. But yeah, I don't know. It was I mean, I didn't read the whole. I didn't finish I didn't even start the other one, so kind of get thrown in here and try to figure kind of got to figure stuff out for yourself here. But yeah, I gave it a 6.
Yeah, I did as well. It looks like this is just going to be 4 issues, I think. I am not planning to keep going with this one. I don't know if Sebastian is, but yeah, 6 for me as well. So we're going to talk about Duke number 4 here. This is the second to last issue of Duke, if you can believe it. Written by Joshua Williamson. The artist is Tom Riley. So picks up from last issue. The Baroness and Duke kind of form an uneasy alliance, and they all do a big fight with fucking Major Blood and that kind of whole crew of people. They do a big fight. They get kind of these big tanks and vehicles, and they just kind of roll straight through them. And then Duke goes to he kind of commandeers a plane, goes to the base that the scientist, I think she was a scientist, gave him in the first issue. So he goes in there, he kind of sees all the weapons and everything that are there, and then he gets attacked by some character who they do say the name, but I don't remember what the name of the character is, and they are not listed.
Right. So, this issue was all action. We had a bit at the beginning, with the whole uneasy alliance thing between Baroness and Duke. Basically, Duke talked Baroness out of killing him. And then they escaped to what is like kind of an armory. There was just vehicles. There wasn't actually any ammunition or anything like that.
Right.
So, but anyway, those let them escape. And so, yeah, so he commandeers the jet, flies over to the secret base, and, the entire time he's been after Starscream, essentially, because Starscream is the one that killed his friend in the jet. And so he assumes that they're the one that's making it, and so that's when the nameless enemy person attacked him, and that's where it ends. But yeah, so I mean, I don't. Their Mars is a
that's the corporation.
Synopsis. Yeah, that's who they are. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was very easy read, quick read. This issue. But besides that, it was still pretty good. For what it was. I didn't realize this was third to last is what you said?
Second to last.
Second to last.
Yeah.
Oh wait, so the next issue is the last one.
Next issue is the last, yeah.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. I mean, obviously they're gonna continue, his story and other series.
I think Destro will kind of continue on from this one. I don't know if Duke will play like a big role in that, but the Destro miniseries in June, like, since he is kind of like he's in the shadows here, but he's kind of clearly the main villain of this little miniseries. I think he'll kind of, I don't know if it'll be kind of a direct continuation, but I think that'll pick up from where the series leaves off, I think. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see it. I don't know when exactly Cobra Commander is gonna fit into all this, because like at least from the movie that I actually saw and like my main knowledge of G.I. Joe, Cobra Commander is like the main. And then Destro is like his right-hand man,
Yeah.
At least from what I remember. I could be
Right.
completely wrong. I don't know. I've never read any other comic from G.I. Joe. But yeah. So I don't know. Well, I'm still enjoying this whole universe as a whole, the Energon universe as a whole. So
Yeah.
going strong. But yeah, I gave it a 7.
Yeah, so I think to your point about the Energon universe, I think reading this weekend and actually this month as a whole, I think I've come to the conclusion for me that this is the most exciting thing happening in comics right now. I think the Energon universe is just absolutely far and away like this is the best case I think for going into the shop and picking up single issues every week. Because a lot of people trade weight, and I understand that compulsion, because then you can just kind of read through an entire like arc. You can kind of get a bigger picture of the story as opposed to having to kind of wait in between each month. But because of how this is structured and the kind of interconnected nature of this universe, I think it really encourages like actually buying, like the single issues in a way that nothing else is really doing. I mean, the Ultimate Universe is kind of getting close to that, but I would argue, while Ultimate X-Men I quite liked, and Ultimate Black Panther I think is decent and solid enough, I don't feel the excitement for that universe outside of Ultimate Spider-Man that I do for the Ultimate Universe. And I think it's just that, like, I think the interconnectedness is a really interesting part of this because it's not a cameo fest. It's not crossing over all the time, right? There are crossovers here and there, and actually they're quite frequent. They do happen fairly regularly, but they're bite-sized enough and they're kind of building stuff, right, even in those crossovers, that it doesn't feel like there's been kind of this big, explode. It doesn't feel like it's crossing over all the time. It doesn't feel like it's just kind of fan service, just throwing everything into everything. It feels like it's really building stuff up carefully and setting up for that kind of really big, explosive kind of event that I'm sure will come at some point where they all overlap and everything gets really thrown in together. But it's like you still feel, because there's been enough of that interconnectedness, even though you don't know before reading any of these issues whether or not a Transformer will show up or whether or not Duke will be in Transformers. They might, there's always the chance that they do, and that on its own does not obviously make the universe good, because of course, like, Marvel and DC cross over all the time. It's it's essentially not even crossing over anymore because those characters just are constantly in each other's books. But because they're doing it sparingly, if not in amount, then in terms of like page time and the actual time, the amount of time we see the characters, I think that the Energon universe has more restraint in that regard. They're not throwing in everything all the time, as I mentioned, but also all of the series on their own are at least good individually, right? So even if there's not a crossover, even if nobody does show up, it's still like, well, I'm not disappointed because it was a good issue. And the fact that we get one of these every week now, again, just it's always building that anticipation. It's like, well, who could show up this time? Who could show up this time? And it just really kind of, I think, incentivizes just the reading of these weekly in a way that no other anything in comics is really doing right now. So that was launch appeal. To essentially just say that I like this issue and I love the Energon universe. This issue, it's not like, I don't think it reaches the highs of some of the other series right now, but I think it's very good. I like this one a lot. I gave it an 8. I had a really fun time with this one, and I'm always just so looking forward to the Energon universe stuff.
All right, next issue. Here we go.
So this is Ultimate Spider-Man number 3, written by Jonathan Hickman. The artist is Marco Cicchetto. So I see a lot of people saying, first of all, okay, I want to before I say this, like, the vast majority of people are loving this. Like, it's been getting essentially just nothing but praise. However, I am kind of starting to see the sentiment pop up here and there that, yeah, this is good, but it's not really moving the story forward. And I guess plot-wise, sure, maybe not a huge amount, but I would argue that character development is also story progression.
Yes.
And this is just character development city all across, like, the board. Every issue is just always, I think, meaningfully developing characters and their relationships and their just kind of, personalities and everything. So I disagree with that kind of suggestion that this book is not really, actually pushing the story forward really at all. This issue, kind of the big thing is that we do get the identity reveal of the new Green Goblin. To the surprise of nobody, it's Harry Osborn. I was hoping it was going to be Ben Parker. I think that would have been a more interesting twist. I get why they did it this way, but yeah, I think like having to be Ben would kind of be interesting. And then we also get the first appearance of Ultimate Bullseye, which that kind of does get something that suggests some interesting stuff because he seems to be working for the Makers Council.
Yes.
And so clearly they've got plans. I mean, we kind of knew they did because they threatened to take over the Bugle from Fisk last issue. But this is, again, they're clearly starting to kind of make some plays. I don't know when the Maker's going to come back, but he definitely will. I don't know I think what I've heard is that it might be like the start of next year is when the Matrix coming back. I don't know if that's true, but regardless, clearly there's some plays being done there, and I think that's really interesting. Regardless of that, the start of this issue kind of focuses on Peter again, kind of doing some more power testing. We get a really fun scene at the start where he and his daughter are like picking what the suit will look like. I always love sequences in comics or movies like that. Like that is one of my favorite parts of the first Captain Marvel movie is when she's cycling through all the different suits and stuff. I always think it's just fun to see cool designs and new designs. And there's some really fun ones in there. I think the way that it evolves is really good in that sequence. And it ends with essentially the classic suit. It might be the blue. I think is a little bit darker than
yes,
than kind of the 616 suit. But regardless, I mean it's essentially just it is the main suit. And there's a just great fucking splash page where they go to test the suit out, and they're just it's Peter and his daughter just swinging it. It is a full page splash. It just looks fantastic. I mean, the art on this again, Marco Gigetto killing it. He's one of my he might be my favorite artist in comics currently. So there's that, and then there's also Ben and Jonah get a new office, and then they kind of trade some info with Peter about the new Green Goblin and kind of what Peter's been kind of hearing at the Bugle and all that stuff. And then culminating in a fight with Harry and Peter kind of teaming up, although they both get there at like different times and they're not coordinated, but they're kind of teaming up to take down Bullseye. And ending in them kind of I guess Harry has some tech that is able to control the Picotech in Peter's suit.
Yeah.
Because it seemingly just deactivates Peter's suit, and then so he can see that it's Peter, and then he's like, "Hey, I'm Harry," and he's like, "Let's get it a drink." So that's kind of where the issue wraps up. So I mean, it's great. It is. I think this with this issue, I think it has pretty solidly cemented itself as the best series that Marvel is currently putting out. It's so much fun. It's just so fun to read this book. This is what Spider-Man. This is like the definitive characterization of Spider-Man. He's just a fun loving dude. And I think like 616 often doesn't really get that. And I don't know if that's because of editorial kind of meddling, and they kind of, are shaping stories certain ways, and, have to have all the drama and everything. But regardless, I think this is just like Jonathan Hickman clearly so clearly understands Peter as a character and what makes him Spider-Man that everybody loves. And is just constantly just like crushing it at that. So this is definitely my pick of the week. I love this issue. It's the series is just every time it smashes it. So yeah, fantastic stuff. Really enjoyed this one.
Yeah. This one is also my pick of the week. Going back from that whole Six Fingers fiasco earlier. Yeah, I really love just this series as a whole so far, especially the beginning of this issue, especially like you said, the whole suit, trying to figure out the suit thing, and then the splash page of him being in the classic red and blue. Just it just looks so nice. And then going back to what you said about like the plot and stuff, I 100% agree with you that character development is plot, and I think they're doing a great job of developing each individual characters, but like not making it boring. Well, like keeping it interesting.
Yeah.
Because like they're obviously developing each individual character in their own way. Like Mary Jane, not so much really, because we haven't really had a lot of time with her.
Yeah.
But like Peter specifically, Jonah and Ben, which for me are like the biggest three so far besides this one. Like the past two issues, it had been mostly them. And so you're seeing Peter interact with like his children, and then finally with Ben and Jonah, and then Ben and Jonah between each other, and like how they're handling everything that's going on right now as well. And so so I think it's the plot is moving slowly, but it's at a point where the character development is like still keeping everything interesting enough, even though the plot is moving as slow as it is. In terms of writing Spider-Man and stuff, I don't think it has anything to do with like how Spider-Man is now or whatever. Like he is different, and I think the reason, at least for me, this is just an assumption, this is a guess, this Spider-Man just feels nostalgic in a sense because he's trying to figure stuff out, right? And
people like the classic Spidey for that simple reason that he doesn't know really what he's doing. And the Spider-Man that we have now, he is experienced, he knows what he's doing, he's been through a lot, but I don't know. That's just me. I think it's just like he doesn't really know what he's doing. Like clearly in this one, he tries to stake out the building that he knows Harry's gonna like hit next, and it takes him like he's never done a stakeout before, so he's like the first day he's just like, God, this sucks. I understand why people eat everything. Just eat during stakeouts. Then the second day, nothing happens, and then the third day, he's like, "All right, I'm just gonna leave. Like I was clearly wrong. Nothing's ever gonna happen." And then that's when something happens. He's still learning. When he fought Bullseye, clearly he doesn't really have like as developed spider sense, if any. I don't know how if they have the exact same powers as the main 616, but because the Crane supposedly falls in him. I knows, but yeah, I don't know. I'm really enjoying still the Ultimate Spider-Man. Out of the 3 so far that we've gotten, this one is definitely the best.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I gave it a 9, pick of the week.
Yeah, I gave it a 9 as well. To your point about the nostalgia factor, I don't know if it's so much that people were missing. For me, like the comments that I've seen have been a lot of why is Peter always sad now? He's always just being sad and like beaten up, and he and Mary Jane aren't together anymore, and like it's just like Peter. I think this just gets the fun of Peter and Spider-Man in a way that's kind of been missing from some main stuff lately. I think that's where I approach it from.
No, yeah, exactly. But that's where the nostalgia coming from, right? Because they miss the old fun Peter. But at this point, the Peter in main 616 has been through so much. It's hard to see him not obviously in Spider-Man he still does quips and stuff like that every now and then. But like being Peter, it's gotta be hard for him at this point.
Yeah, that's
where this Peter comes in, where it's like it's all new. He's happy. He nothing's gone wrong yet. Yeah. So it's just, that's that nostalgia factor that it's just happy, fun Peter again.
So anyway, though, that'll wrap it up for this episode. Next week, we'll be talking about a bunch of stuff, including new issue of the Avengers. Sebastian will be talking about that. This is an X-Men tie-in to what's going on there. Since I am close to catching up, but not caught up, I'm going to skip this until I am kind of up to date on that. Another issue of Batman. I was telling Sebastian I'm thinking of dropping this series. I'm gonna kind of wait a little bit, but it's a bummer because I love Chip Zdarsky, but I do feel like this run has just been dragging on the failsafe stuff just like crazy long time now. New issue of Birds of Prey though, I like that series. I think it's very fun. Again, when it's when it's good, I think this is the best series that DC is doing. New issue of Blue Beetle. This should kind of kick off the actual second story arc after the Keith Giffen tribute. So hopefully we'll kind of get more direction on kind of where this is going. New issue of Captain America. That last issue was very interesting, so I'm very curious to see kind of where this goes. I think it could potentially. This is, and I actually like the last issue too, so hopefully this will kind of keep that momentum going. We have a new Deadpool series starting. I mentioned that earlier in the episode, but yeah, Cody Ziegler is writing it. I hope it's good, but again, Deadpool is a character that I think is just constantly walking the line between funny and annoying. And if you do not have if the writer is not always on their game, Deadpool just steps right over that and becomes insufferable. So hopefully it'll be good, but we'll see. The Ghost Machine imprint at Image is kind of really kicking off in full force. It had a couple of miniseries, limited series before this with Geiger Volume 1 and Junkyard Joe, plus a couple of Geiger special issues that were thrown in there. But this is where it really kicks off with 3 series. I think all of them are ongoing. I know Geiger is. I think the other 2 are as well. But so it's Geiger, Redcoat, and Rook Exodus all are next week. And then I guess Wave 2 launches in October. We don't know what's in Wave 2 yet, but that's when the next wave of books will be launching alongside these 3 that are going to be next week. New issue of Immortal Thor. Last issue was kind of a lull a little bit where there's not a whole lot that happened, but this is kind of setting up the whole final conflict with Roxxon, I think, that's kind of been building in the background for a little bit. So that should be interesting. I think it's the first part of that kind of thing. The One Hand, we just talked about the 6 Fingers. One Hand next week. Awesome. Cool. Love it. Both these series are very cool. The Sacrifices is back next week. That's cool. Love to see it. That's a very good series. It's had quite a break. I think the last issue was either in November or December, so it's been a little while. But that series is back. I think this issue sounds like it's a really interesting premise, so really looking forward to that. Then we have Vengeance of the Moon Knight number 4. This is apparently where we're going to find out who the new Moon Knight is. I have not read this yet, but I do have it, so I'm going to be checking that out. And then finally, Void Rivals as well. New show Void Rivals, where I think we're going to be seeing the main duo, Dark and Solilla, fight Proximus. So that's exciting as well. That should be good. Is there anything that you want to shout out that I missed?
No.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for watching or listening. As always, if you are on YouTube and you enjoyed the video, you can like the video, of course. You can also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of our videos and stuff like that. You can also hit the bell notification if you want to be notified when we post new videos so that you do not miss any. And then you can leave us a comment if you want to let us know what you're kind of thinking about the current comic series that are currently currently ongoing, what some of your favorites are, what some of your least favorites are, just kind of what you're generally reading and what you're thinking of them. If you want to let us know all your thoughts on comics and stuff like that, and you're listening over on Spotify, you can do so at earthsmightestcomicsPod@gmail.com. That is our email address. It is all one word. You can also, we have polls ongoing now. I've been putting them up. So you can also, you can fill out the poll and let us know what your favorite issue of the week we're talking about is. I can only provide 7 options, so I've been going with 6 of them, and then other. So apologies if your favorite is not listed there. I only have so many options to put them on there. And then if you're on Spotify as well, you can also follow the show over there to make sure that you get notified when we post new episodes over there so that you don't miss any on Spotify as well. So yeah, thank you again, everybody, for watching or listening on whatever platform you may be doing so on. And we will see you in the next episode.